My channel. Today we are working on chapter 8, programming challenge 12 in the book Starting Out with Java. And this programming challenge is called Miscellaneous String Operations. All we have to do is to create a couple of static methods that would do some function. The first method that we have to do is called wordCount. And as the name implies, we have to print how many words are there in a given string. So let's start. We'll say static. It will return long. And we will say get a word count. And it will take string we'll call word. And I will use this arrays stream and it will take word, and then we'll say split to split the words, and lastly to say count. So this statement would give us how many words there are in a string. So let's create a string. We'll say words, and we will say 100. Is that spelled correctly? I don't know. 100 years ago. So it should give us 1, 2, 3, 4 words, excluding the spaces. So we'll say system out, and we will say get a word count, and we'll pass the words string, and we will run the program, and as you can see it is 4. How about if we cut it in half? It should give us 2. Yeah, so that would be it for this method. We have to let's create the second method, which is arrayToString. Basically, we have to accept a character array, and we have to convert it to a string. So we'll say static. It will return a string, and the method name is arrayToString. It will accept a char array. We'll call it chars, and it will return a string value of chars. So let's create a char array in the main method to test this. We'll write about in the char array. So it should give us about in a string format, and we will accept chars. So let's run it. As you can see, it gave us about a string. Let's change the char array contents. We will say have, and it should give us halves here, have. So we finish 1 and 2. The next method is called mostFrequent. So basically we have to give a string, and we have to find the most frequent string or character. Third method, which is mostFrequent. This method we have to return the most frequent character in a string. So we'll say static char most frequent, and it will take a word as a string. And first we will say string most frequent. It will be set to an empty string. We will create an int variable. We also have to create an array to split the string. So word split, and then we have to create a for loop array.length, and you have to copy this. Before that, we have to create a temp variable, and we will change the index to j, and after that we have to compare the characters. We'll say array of I equals array of j. Then if so, we will increment the temp. We also have to make sure if temp is greater than count, and if it is, we will say count equal to temp and most frequent equal to array of I. And we have to return the first character of most frequent string. We say char at 0. So let's review the method. We create this static method called most frequent. It takes a word string. We created a most frequent variable that is empty, a count a variable which is equal to 0. We split the string and convert it to an array, and we iterate through all the elements, all the characters in the array, and we created a temp variable to set to 0. We created an inner loop, and we iterate the array, and we compare the characters in the string. And if we found two characters that are equal, then we increment the temp by 1, and we compare the temp. We make sure the temp is greater than count, and if it is, we set count to temp, and we set that character to most frequent string. And here, lastly, in the return statement, we get the first element of the string most frequent. So let's test this method. We will call wool as an example. Wool has two characters that are similar. So it should give us O because it has two characters. And we will say word. So let's run the program. Oh, okay. Let's add two L's. So it should give us L because L has the most frequent, is the most frequent character that appears in the string. Yeah, and let's add a couple of W's. As you can see, W would be the most frequent. So we completed 3 methods, only one method left, which is replace substring. Method that we have to solve is called replace to string. So basically, we have to accept three strings: string 1, string 2, and string 3. The first string has this sentence: the dog jumped over the fence. And the string 2 has the, and his string 3 has that. So basically, we have to search string 1 for all the occurrences of string 2. And if we found string 2, we have to replace string 2 to string 3. As an example, here the first string, the dog jumped over the fence. If we search this string, we found the string 2, the, and string 1 first word are similar. So we have to replace this the to string 3, that. So we have to replace that if we found it here. At the end of the method, all we have to print is this statement. That dog jumped over the fence. That's what we have to do. So let's create the method static. It will return string, and it will accept string 1, string 2, and string 3. So we have to replace string 1 for all the occurrences of string 2 to string 3. We search string 1. We basically ask ourselves, is there the string the? And if that question's answer is yes, we have to replace that string with that to get this final string, which says that dog jumped over the fence. So we have to test this class, this method. We will say string. No, we already have the strings right here. So we have to copy this. And we have to say string, 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 and you have to fix the quotation, highlight, and add the quotation. So these are the 3 strings that they want us to use. So we'll say replace a substring. We'll say a string. I don't want capital, say string 1, string 2, and string 3. So let's run the program. That dog jumped over that fence. So basically that's what they wanted us to do. That dog jumped over that fence. It's the same thing. So we replaced the to that every time we see it in the first string. The dog jumped over the fence. So we replace it here to that and here to that in the program. So thank you for watching this programming challenge. The next one would be challenge 13. We have a couple of programming challenges left.